Hello everyone and welcome to Senior Susie Stamps. I'm Julia and I'm glad you're here today. I have a fun little project to work on and let me tell you how it started. I found some scraps, yay me, but actually they were some butterfly scraps left over from a project that I had done earlier this year. And so I wanted to play off of those colors. I have just recently purchased some color cubes. And so I thought I would go in the color cube and find some colors that used this color theme, and I did. So here's the card that I got, and you can see, let me pull this out so we don't have quite so much glare. You can see how wonderfully this color card goes with these little butterflies. And I happen to have some paper that was laying around trying to figure out what to do with. So I found those. And then I found this napkin that one of my friends sent me. Thank you, Barbara. And then I found this little piece of lace. And I've got some cards that I ordered when I was at the farm trying to have some supplies up there, and some little pop dots that I got from probably the dollar store somewhere. I thought I had a little with love sticker that I found in my stash. I have a little white piece of paper. Don't know if we use that or not. And then I have this little piece that kind of is between those two. But hang on a minute. I've got 3 little red gems here. And I thought those would make some nice flower centers. And I found this little piece of white scrap that I had run through my Xyron and used the majority of it at some point earlier in time, and I kept it because, I keep everything. But so I got my little Xyron out, and I have 2 different Xyrons, and the first one is it's a disposable Xyron, and it is ES21177. I got this from Amazon, I think, last year sometime, maybe year before. And you just put your paper in there and pull it through, and it puts sticky all over one side. So I went into my white scraps and got some more scraps, and we'll use those. And then my friend Maureen sent me some printed sentiments, and I thought we would use one of those. So here we go. Let's get started and see what we end up with. And I'm not making any guarantees because I don't know, but I wanted to show you something fun with this paper napkin. I'm going to try to use my little scraps, and if you see here, the white part of the napkin turns white, but if you put it on purple, this nice lavender purple, then it really becomes very close to this color here, ghost white. So let's get started and see what we can get made. These card bases are a little different size than what I normally use. They are 4x6, so it's just a little bit different measurements. I feel like this in the studio, I like to use up whatever I've got available at hand, and it doesn't really matter to me as long as it's got an envelope that works, then that's good enough. But okay, let's get started. So I'm going to start this card by cutting this gold piece, cutting some flowers out of this gold piece. It's a double-sided paper, and it has the lighter gold on one side, and then the one that we are actually looking for, which is as close as I can get to the marigold color. However, having cut all this material out of the paper, it makes it a little problematic on how to get it glued down to this layer without having any edges show. So I've cut the layers 1/4 of an inch apart, and this one completely covers the front of the card. So what I'm going to try to do, and this may work and it may not, but I'm going to try to run some tape runner around the outside of this. I'm going to try putting some release paper down where I can just peel it back, because I can't find my double-sided tape anywhere. It's crazy. All right, so this is my foam tape, and I put that up onto Avery release paper that I've saved from labels, and so that's what I'm planning to use. And I want to make sure I get the tape on the right side of this paper, but let's just try it this way and see how well it works, because there's no wiggle room on this paper. It's an exact fit to the card. In order to get all the flowers punched out, plus to have a little bit extra, I had to really make use of all the paper that I had. Get that out of the way. Now, so I'm going to pull this off, and I'll just stick this tape on the side of my desk for later use. And I'm just going to stick this, I think I'll cut this release paper. Whoops, wrong scissors. I think I'll cut this release paper into some smaller strips. And basically I'm making my own double-sided tape this way with a release paper on it. You have to make sure you get the right side stuck down, though. It doesn't always work well to release it if you don't have that on the right side, because it grips hold of the paper. There we go. Okay, so now I think I can get this started, hopefully. I'm going to take it and turn this one little corner back. There we go. And then try to get my position just exactly where it needs to be. And I think that's it. Okay. Hold your breath, everybody. Like I said, this may work and it may not. And if it doesn't, we'll just trim that card a hair. How about that? Well, that was pretty close. I do have just a little bit of an edge there to trim, don't I? And that's fine. These are handmade cards, and sometimes they're a little more handmade than others. Okay. Didn't quite get that trimmed off enough. There. Now, I got it. Get this stuff out of the way. And I'm going to put this purple layer right on top of that, because I trimmed just a little bit off here. I need to trim a little bit off of this piece too, in order to get my layers up just about right. And sometimes you have to do that just to kind of make things work out where they look right. There, now that looks good, doesn't it? Okay, I'm going to hold this. I'm just going to hold this and pull it back and put some glue down. Ooh, it's been almost a month since I used this glue. And you can tell, can't you? There we go. Now I'm going to position that, and then I'll roll the other side back and do the same thing. And that way I'm getting as close as I possibly can to the edge. And I didn't have to sacrifice another piece of paper, which I didn't have, for this card. I got a little glue seeped out there. I'm just going to take my fingernail and run right across it, and we'll hope it kind of disappears. Okay, now, okay, so I've punched these flowers out, Now let's see what we can do with this paper napkin. And my thought is that I should be able to peel this paper back and do like I just did that card and have it just become a top layer on my cardstock, and then I can punch it. So let's see how well that works. Now on this Xyron adhesive, you have to kind of rub it a little bit, and I've already done that. And then you take the little backing off, and then your adhesive is going to be on this side back here. So let me peel back just a little bit and get a starting point. Yep, I got a wrinkle. I think I got it out. Okay, let's do another piece or two. This is a good way to use up some of your white scraps, is to just run them through your Xyron, and that way you should be able to put your paper napkin on without having to glue it and wait for the glue to dry and all that yada yada stuff. That seems to work pretty well. And then I'm going to punch some flowers, I think, out of this, just to see how it works. And I'm going to go ahead and cut these apart, just so it's a little bit more manageable to be putting through the punch. And all I want is just some of the color that's on this napkin. And now you can see, and I did get a wrinkle in that one, didn't I? Well, it's okay. That's all right. I'm just going to flatten that down with my fingernail, and it'll work fine. I'll try to avoid that. I'll use this smaller punch on this, and I'll try to avoid that wrinkle. There we go. And let's see if we can get another one out of that. And there's some texture here that might be kind of fun on that. There we go. Come on, little guy. There we are. And then I'm going to punch some out of the white, and we'll use that also, and maybe some out of this one. And this kind of makes these flowers a little unique, and they're all a little bit different that way. I can't see, but I think that's going to be fine. There we go. And by doing that with the Xyron, see, the paper napkin is completely glued down. It's not going anywhere at this point. So, okay, that's enough of that. Although I do have one more here. Let's go and punch it, just because we can. Let's punch a big one. Maybe it'll come out. Let's see. I don't know if it's big enough or not. Yep, I believe it is. And there we go. But anyway, I thought we could do a layer with this little scrap of gold that I've got. Let me think about that for just a minute, and I'll get this layer put down. Do I want to foam it up? Let's try foaming it up, since I got this foam sticking over here. And this is the darker. Let's use the lighter layer, just because we can. There. And I think I'll put this in just kind of in the middle, just as a little layer. There we go. And then I'm going to build my flowers around these layers. And I think I'm going to put just a little bit of foam between them. I'm going to try to use some of these little foam pieces here, just to get them used up, because I just got those for when I was at the farm desperate for supplies to do something with. Normally I don't buy these little foam things, you know, I always cut my own. Because I don't like pulling these little pieces of release paper off. It's tedious to me. And I'm pretty sure it must be tedious for you watching it. So let me go ahead and get these flowers put together and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm not liking this darker plaid on this. I think it needs the white to brighten it up just a little bit. And so I'm going to take those two off of there and just use these three. And they're all a little bit different. So it helps to move your eye around a little bit. I do think I want to do something to this piece. Let me get my black pen, because I think just a little fine black line around this, just a double line doodled in there, will really help this panel because it's pretty plain. Let's just see. This little bit of black may help with the sentiment as well, since it's in black ink. There we go. That is a Pigma Micron 01. It's a really nice fine point pen. Now I'm thinking I kind of like this black with that, so that's what I'm going to go with, and I'm going to trim it down to where there's not any white edge on it. I really appreciate Maureen sending me these. It was a big blessing. She sent me, oh my goodness, I think every sentiment in the world that you could possibly want for an all-occasion card. And it makes it so handy when I'm kind of stampless here. I'm going to put a little black edge just to black that down all the way through so that it doesn't have a white core show. And I'm just going to use my chisel point Sharpie to do that. Sometimes when you have a little white edge showing, it can be a little distracting on a piece. There we go. Now, let's see how this is going to do. We may want to do something like that. And I still have my red centers, and I have these little white, I believe these were petite petals if I'm not mistaken, and I may go ahead and put a white up underneath those red centers just to help size it down a little bit. And there we're coming with the red. Okay, yeah, I think we definitely want to do that. So let me get some glue on these, and then we'll talk about placement and where we're going with this. So I'm just putting a little drop of glue just right in the center of that, and then putting them as close to the center. I only had two. Hang on. Two doesn't work. I gotta have three. Let me get a scrap piece of paper here. I originally had thought I would make these flowers out of a snowflake punch. I gave up on that idea. I just couldn't get it to work for me. All right. Yeah. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and put my red gems on those and let them be drying up a little bit. Tweezers. These little gems are a little different size, all of them, or at least two of them are. For some reason I can't get them picked up. Come up here. Come on. I have misplaced my jewel picker. There it is. I put it in the wrong spot. Imagine that. There we go. That little bit of red really makes it pop, doesn't it? And see, I never would have thought about putting red with this until I happened to see the combination on this card. It never would have crossed my mind. Okay. And then we're going to do some butterflies. So let's get these glued down. And I think I'm going to put just a little bit of foam underneath the outside edge of Thinking of You because this has foam on it. And then get it on the right end. That's always helpful. And then I'm going to come right over the top of that flower, I think. Right like that. And then glue this one down in that corner. Maybe let the corner kind of show a little bit. There we go. Now, let's get some of the butterflies on here, since that was the whole point, was to use my butterflies. I don't know. I kind of like the holographic. This has two layers. It has a holographic, and then it has just the plain. And I think with as busy as this card is with the plaid from the napkin, maybe I'll pull this off the holographic and just use the top of that, which is fine to do. I do it all the time. I just put a little bit of art glitter glue on that. And let's see what we got going here. I'm going to hold that down with my tweezers for just a sec and let that art glitter glue take hold. It is one of the faster glues, I think, which certainly makes it beneficial in a situation like this. I think maybe I'll use this one because it has a little bit of the red. This one has a little bit of the red on it. Yeah. And because that art glitter glue will dry clear, I'm not worried about that little spot down there underneath of it. Now, I think maybe I might let it go at that. But I do want to put something on the inside. And maybe I'll use this one with the holographic foil on the inside, but it has a little bit of adhesive on it. Let me see if I can get that off with my little rubber eraser, and if I can, then I use that and see. Sometimes you can't get that to come off, it just won't come, and at that point then it's just icky. And that may be the case with this one, unfortunately. So, because of that, I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to pull it with the holographic piece and put it on the inside of this card, just to help bring the front to the inside a little bit. There we go. And now, I think I'm going to try to tuck this right up underneath there. I don't know, that's got the white lettering on it. But I don't really like the white on it. Maybe I'll leave. No, I really kind of like that. Okay, I'm going to go with it. So thinking of you with love. I'm going to have to trim this off because I took that foam tape right to the very edge, and that'll be fine. There we go. So there's my card using my leftover butterflies. I guess we should call these leftover cards rather than scrap cards, perhaps, because that's basically what they've turned into, hasn't it? A little bit of this and a little dab of that. It's kind of like throwing the kitchen sink at it. But at any rate, I hope you've enjoyed making this card with me today, because I enjoyed making it with you, and I hope you'll come back soon, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.